Good day, guys. Welcome to Forex Walker. Welcome to episode 95. And on this episode, we continue to speak about the uh, situation in the Middle East and what is currently happening and how it affects the global markets, and that is geopolitics. So I'll be explaining to you why currencies like JPY, which are safe havens, and CHF did not give us a spike when the Middle Eastern war broke out. Normally, when we get a war that breaks out, like just like the war in Ukraine, what happened is that we had a spike on the safe havens, which is the USD, the US dollar, the CHF, and the JPY. The CHF is more correlated to the Euro currency, and it most of the time it takes the direction of the safe haven part of things. After a little while, it might be delayed by a month or two before you get the actual spike out of it. So, what is happening in the Middle East is that the United States run out of THAAD missiles. Now, THAAD missiles, they look like this. Those are missile interceptors that are being used to intercept Iranian missiles at the moment in Israel. So what happened is that the United States started moving these missile systems to Israel because they're very expensive and they don't want Iran to hit them from that side in the Middle East, in countries like Bahrain, uh, Qatar. Let me show you the countries. These are the countries. Uh, Saudi. I'll be showing you those countries in a little while. So the United States called for these THAAD missiles, and oh, I apologize for that. Those are not U.S. made; those were Chinese. So these THAAD missiles, this is the where they show you the launch of a third missile, and this is where you see it without a launch. There's another one here in the space. So the United States are the only countries that can use or have these missiles are the British Empire. The British Empire includes the countries that colonized other countries from Britain, coming by countries that were colonized by Britain. The princes who came out of the Kingdom of Britain, and one of those countries is the United States, Australia, and New Zealand at the moment. So those countries are the only countries that can use the THAAD missile. And so at the moment, the United States ran out of these missiles, and they do have launches, but they ran out of the stockpiles of the missiles. They requested some of the missiles in Europe. No, they don't have them in Europe. They requested some of those missiles in Australia, and there's a high possibility that New Zealand might have them because New Zealand is also a British empire. So, because of that, the United States ended up uh, requesting naval ships from Australia, and that will actually let me show you the countries that are affiliated with the United States at the moment. Those are the countries that take crude oil that take crude oil that buy purchase crude oil from the countries that are affiliated with the United States in the Middle East. So let me show you those countries. That would be Australia, New Zealand. Remember, and we have your Indonesia, Philippines, the U.S. proxies, and here you have Taiwan. Taiwan, the United States was really trying to start a war by bringing the troops here, but that won't happen. It's too close to uh, the Chinese border. and that war will be tragic for even I in fact those U.S. naval ships won't be able to come anywhere to Taiwan at all. So that is Taiwan, Japan, South Korea. Those are the countries that are affiliated with the United States, South China Sea countries, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand are the countries that are buying crude oil. Let me zoom on this one. Those are the countries that are purchasing crude oil from Saudi Arabia, U.S. proxies again, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, and another tiny country called Bahrain. This one, an island country. Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. Those are the countries that are selling crude oil to U.S. proxies. I apologize for that. Those are selling crude oil to U.S. proxies, which are uh, Australia, New Zealand, and the South China Sea countries, Philippines, Indonesia, uh, and you also have Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea. So uh, when the Iran is right here. When Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, this is the Persian Gulf. The Strait of Hormuz is as the chokehold right here where you see my mouse. Let me zoom a little bit. This is the Strait of Hormuz. So whenever Israel, let me show you Israel. Whenever Israel decides to let me show you Israel. This is Israel over here. Whenever Israel decides to start a war with Iran, the first thing that Iran does is that they close the Strait of Hormuz, and that chokes the global economy because the crude oil that supports the countries of the West, including Europe, which is the euro currency. These countries in Europe, Italy, Spain, and all of that, they are the U.S. proxies, and they take crude oil from the Middle East, and because of that, those the currencies in those countries are going to go bearish. They're going to suffer. They're going to suffer from this chokehold. So, in other words, Iran is doing what we call it's doing what we call physical sanctions, or you can call them physical tariffs, because they're closing the only thing that runs the economy, which is crude oil. They close the Strait of Hormuz, and the Western countries, the countries that are the Western countries all suffer, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. They suffer as because they are the U.S. proxies. So those currencies are going to go south. That's what will happen. So not so long ago, India was having India just joined the Western countries. They sacrificed an Iranian warship right here between Sri Lanka and they were doing a BRICS nations, what do we call it, a naval exercise, and the generals in India sold those naval students. They were still students. They did not graduate just yet, so they were still doing their practicals. And though they were killed because they India told Israel where the coordinates, is Israel, where the ship was in the ocean, and the United States used the submarine to sink that ship, killing most of the students in the Iranian Navy. So that's just what I was telling you for now. So just understand that New Zealand, Australia, uh, and the euro, the currencies are going to be selling as a result of that. And another thing, I was still talking about the THAAD system that the United States had requested from Australia. So now we have a new we have a new front being opened in the Middle East, where Australia is now being dragged into the war because they're sending their naval ships, they're sending the THAAD systems. These THAAD systems, the Australians have them because they come from the British Empire, and the United States lost most of its missile systems, so they run out of their stockpiles. So they need them from Australia. They want Australia to join the war so that they can send some of those missile system to go and protect Israel, who looks to be the golden boy, because the United States moved out most of the THAAD missile systems from here all the way to Israel, leaving these countries without any protection from Iranian missiles. So that's the story. So you need to understand that when that Strait of Hormuz is closed, the Strait of Hormuz, when the Strait of Hormuz here, this is Iran, when the Strait of Hormuz here is closed, what happens is that the Europeans look for the alternative. The Europeans over here in Europe, they take the country of Canada as an alternative. They go to Canada. That's where they get their crude oil. I apologize for my network connections. This is Canada. So they go to Canada to get their, that's Canada right there. They go to Canada to get their crude oil. So Canada becomes an alternative for Europe, but normally they buy the crude oil from the Arabian countries, and they use Canada as an alternative. So the Canadian dollar becomes more bullish whenever we get a war, or if there's sanctions against the Russian oil and the Strait of Hormuz is closed, they also go to buy the Canadian currency. So that's the reason why I went long, and I believe that this Canadian currency will actually break all the way up above this weekly time frame trend line over here. So that's why I had to draft a structure that looks like this. So let me see what it looks like. I apologize for my clumsiness. So that's why I'm expecting this to help the Canadian currency. This is the weekly time frame to break out of the recession. While we're gonna have a new level where we're playing in these highs, and that's why I believe that this will actually help this. So the USD CHF will go bullish, and let me show you some. The US dollar will continue to go bullish because it's a safe haven, but this bull move is not sustainable because the US economy is deteriorating because the US is actually actively in a war at the moment. So far, Israel did not touch Iran at all because the United States is currently fighting here. So Israel did just about nothing. They're actively fighting in Lebanon. Let me show you Lebanon. They're actively fighting right here in Lebanon. So they're not really fighting Iran, but because they are the ones who called the US to strike Iran, so Iran is striking back at Israel. So that's the current situation. But even though Iran did not make a physical fight, the United States has its US planes crashed here, and other planes, I believe they crashed somewhere in Kuwait when they're busy bombing Tehran. And so the United States is losing big time, and their ships are also being targeted. So if this war continues to move forward, what will happen is that the U.S. currency will collapse. So this bull move is not sustainable. Thank you guys. I'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.